Every morning, the countdown begins for the markets with meticulous research and analysis designed to help you capitalize on the trading day. Beaming live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studio.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. Tuesday morning, we are coming to you live as always from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Prashant with me, my colleagues Nigel and Surabhi. Guys, good morning.
Hi guys. It's only Tuesday. Feels like we've done longer in the week, right? But no, it's only the second day of the week. But it's been busy. I mean, lots of earnings, trade headlines, tariff headlines are back. And we have plenty to go over, Nigel.
Well, that's right. You know, the market action itself has been a little bit subdued. But I'll tell you what, at times like these, that's when you get stocks at the prices you want to. And it's been in a bit of a tizzy and no signs of any big reversal. But maybe a bit of a subdued market could be a blessing to some because the pace that we went up was very, very swift and many people missed out. So maybe, in fact, that chance is now being presented.
Well, many chances, right? I mean, but the point is you need some consolidation.
Yeah.
You need some slow is good. I mean, otherwise fast-paced rallies, rip-roaring rallies. That's essentially what we've had over the last few years, and it's not a very short-term kind of phenomenon. Let's just take it from the top in terms of what you need to know. So trade tariff headlines, of course, top of mind as the 1st of August deadline comes through. That's it. I mean, that's the big one, really. Will we see a deal, an interim deal before the 1st of August? If not, on the post the 31st of July, what happens? Will the rate reset to 15%, 20%, et cetera, et cetera? So it's not just India, right? I mean, there's Korea, there's Taiwan. So 3 countries, Korea, Taiwan, and India. So that's about 10% of US imports, all essentially in line for some sort of a potential deal. Tariff uncertainty, of course, also regarding tariff rates on currently exempt sectors. And by the way, this is Section 232. This is separate. And Trump and his team have said that those investigations are also concluding. And around the 1st of August, we should be able to declare what our tariffs are on things like pharma and semiconductors and a host of other things as well. We'll see, even with regards to US-EU deal, I saw a few stories which kind of said, well, it looks like the US side agreed on something and the EU side agreed on, of course, I mean, some of the common things, but there were also kind of disagreements which were creeping up. So what exactly is going to be the deal which was agreed upon? That is still not entirely clear. To a large degree, yes, but not entirely. US equities, they were flat. S&P, nothing very much. Nasdaq was up about 1/3%. Big move in the US dollar, which is about 1% higher, about 99 or so is where the US dollar, almost 99 actually. Oil prices were up 3%. We are at about 70.4. And this is, of course, on the back of President Trump, who's sort of brought forward the deadline for Russia to reach a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine. I think he's now saying 10, 12 days, and he wants an agreement on the table. So we'll see where this one goes more later. Now, here in India, many, if you look at the Nifty Bank, broader market, small caps, for example, losing streak, many short-term market indicators are suggesting that we are in a oversold kind of a zone. But, oversold does not necessarily mean immediate kind of turnaround, but it does sort of warn you to be careful if you are trading on the negative side, if you're shorting, etc. A positive daily close is the first sort of, requirement before we start to say that whether this decline is complete or not. So on both the Nifty and the Nifty Bank. The next big support level, because, I mean, most levels are gone now, is 24,450 to 24,500. This is the next sort of major support zone that we'll work with. Bank Nifty broke the previous low, which it did not do last Friday, but yesterday it did. And here the support zone is 55,475 to 55,150 or so. Those levels should come up on your screen, 55,475 to 55,150. No real immediate near-term triggers, nothing with regards to, a sector which is suddenly going to sort of take leadership, take charge and, guide this turnaround. But things emerge eventually, gradually, out of declines as well. So we'll just have to be patient for that. GIFT Nifty implying about a 50-odd point lower start once again this morning. Surabhi.
Yeah, absolutely. And, last couple of days, we had great global cues, global markets rallying, and still we kept falling, on our own weight or under our own weight. This is a slightly different morning because you don't have so much of tariff exuberance or trade deal cheer. A lot of markets are cooling off. That happened on Wall Street, and that's happening across Asia as well because many of the markets like Japan, even the Hong Kong Hang Seng, they're down 1%. So global markets in a bit of a sell-off, profit-taking mood this morning. So let's see how that plays out for us. Now, the trade headlines are actually not very encouraging for India. Of course, we're still, waiting to see if some kind of an interim deal will be arrived at before the August 1 deadline. But see what President Trump has said on a whole host of factors overnight. And none of it sounds very positive for India. Number one, he's talking about a baseline tariff of now anywhere between 15% to 20%. Which is going to be substantially higher than the 20%, than the 10% that was prevailing right now, for all countries that don't make a deal by 1st of August. So that's caution number one. Number two, he's talking about imposing additional tariffs on Russia's trading partner. This 2-week window that he's given to Russia to arrive at a ceasefire with Ukraine, if the ceasefire doesn't happen, then what is his counter threat? He's saying anyone who's trading with Russia, buying Russian, inputs, and of course that would include Russian oil, will be slammed with a 100% additional tariff. The next or the third negative headline on the trade front is coming in on pharma. On pharma, he's saying that we'll be announcing something on pharma very soon. We have a big plan on pharmaceuticals. We want to bring pharmaceuticals back to America. So again, it's a lot of chatter, a lot of noise, but all the noise is not very conducive just in terms of sentiment for us. What's also not conducive is some of the macro numbers that we got yesterday, and I'm talking about IIP. IIP is at a 10-month low. The number for June is, 1.5%, slightly better than 1.2% month on month. But again, it's subdued. It's also the monsoon effect kicking in. So sectors like electricity, pretty weak, mining pretty weak. Manufacturing sequentially has seen some improvement. Manufacturing output slightly higher. But again, not perhaps enough to really light up the street with excitement. Let's talk about the flows. Now, Nifty has been continuing to drift lower. Again, yesterday, the boundaries have gone and we're constantly drifting lower. No real positive earnings spark, and there's constant FPI selling, which is why we ended at the day's low yesterday. So it doesn't inspire much confidence. Yesterday, the net numbers are very big in the cash market, actually. Look at this, 6,000 crores, 6,100 crores of FPI selling almost, countered with huge amount of DII buying, almost 6,770 crores of DII buying, but overall big numbers coming in. Stocks. Well, IndusInd Bank, the best thing is that there's no major negative, fresh headache at least. In fact, some of the numbers like the NII number, the profit number, they're above the pole. Though, of course, year on year, those numbers still will be very, very weak, as you can imagine. Slippages sequentially have come down. They're still very high slippages. 2,500 crores of slippages versus, 5,000 crores when they did the whole cleanup. So we'll see how the market feels about it. The thing is, it's not anything immediately positive in the IndusInd Bank numbers either. Look at Masgao now. Remember, yesterday we were talking about negative numbers from defense companies. Add one more to the list. For Masgao, it's been a challenging quarter. EBITDA is down 50+%. Margins have fallen quite a bit. Revenues up about 10-11%. Adds to the list of Paras Defense, Zentech. These are lumpy businesses. Doesn't seem to be a very good quarter for Masgao. Today's results diary, and we've got some big names coming in over here. There's L&T, there's NTPC, there's Asian Paints, and from the mid-cap space, lots of names, including some of the interesting ones like Amber, Varun Beverages. It's a full slate of earnings. Let's see if we'll get any earnings surprise, pleasant surprise, or earnings star. We've been missing one for a while. Nigel.
Well, precisely, Surbhi. That positive trigger actually has been missing with regard to earnings, with regard to fundamentals on ground as well, and various data points that are coming out. As you mentioned, IIP, various production numbers, demand in terms of electricity as well as power, they're a little bit softish, even taking into account that it's in a monsoon season if you compare it on a like-to-like basis. The last one, the price action has been disappointing, right? Because we've been down close to around 4% or thereabouts, and India has relatively underperformed. But keep in mind, this fall is coming on lower volumes because you just pull up the chart. Last couple of months, the average volumes for July itself has been quite subdued in comparison to what we have seen in June. So sharply lower out there. This is the NSE volume number that we're looking at in value terms. And yesterday's volume, in fact, was even lower than what we have seen on an average. So the short point is this fall is coming on subdued volumes. It's not coming on very, very large volumes, which could be some bit of a comforting factor. Moving to the other cues that we have, the rollovers. Well, the Nifty rollover is only around 45%. Normally on D-3, that is 3 days before expiry, it's normally in the vicinity of around 51%. So Nifty rollovers are yet to take place, while the Nifty bank, well, that's more or less in line at around 36%. What did the FIs do? No prizes for guessing. They added shorts yet again. 8,500 short contracts, 4 shorts added for every 1 long position, and now the short positioning is at around 85%. And, if you just look at the screen, you'll see that the short positioning has moved up. So we started the series at around 40,000 contracts from the FIs on the short side. That number has ballooned up now. That's moved to around 1.65 lakh contracts on the short side itself, and that's the highest we have seen since March 2025. The PCR as well has come down to around 0.64. Normally, the combination of both these two factors indicate that a short covering bounce is due, because the PCR is already below the lower end of the range or closer to the lower end of the range, while the FI net shorts as well at peak, they were closer to around 2 lakh contracts. So that as well is getting there. The only problem is we've got an expiry that's coming out. So maybe, in fact, that short covering bounce that's anticipated is not as swift as we would have liked. But we need to keep an eye out on that front. And the reason that the PCR has moved down because the call writers, well, they believe they've got this covered on the upside. 24,700 call, 24,800 call. Between them, they added close to around 1.1 lakh shares on the short side. So that's the aggressive call writing that we're seeing. And just going by these data points, the kind of call writing that we're seeing, in the near term, that ceiling for the market is gradually coming down. And the bears believe they will be able to defend this 24,850 odd mark, that in terms of a resistance level that we're looking at, while the crucial support, 24,850, 24,900. That's the resistance. But the crucial support is around 24,500, 24,550. And, I spoke to various traders, various people who read the F&O data very closely. They said this is the line in the sand. This is the important mark. And even the options data is indicating that if you need to see a short covering bounce, well, it needs to come before we get to those levels, and we cannot breach those levels. The problem is the Nifty bank that was holding one end up. Yesterday, it ended below the 20 as well as the 50 DMA. So that, in fact, needs to get back up towards those crucial technical levels. So a short covering bounce is due, going by the technical indicators. The markets are lacking that positive trigger. But maybe I think in the next couple of trading sessions, that relief rally should be due, though the structure is punctured for the time being.
Okay, well, many short-term indicators in the oversold zone. Nigel, thanks for that.